Hello to my 100 subscribers. I'm back and I'm going to be making some more videos. I got a couple coming up this week, so if you're not subscribed, subscribe and you'll be able to see those vids. So today's video, I wanted to talk about Quant again. If you've seen my last couple of videos, which were a long time ago, those were on Quant and they turned out pretty good. So I still have a lot in Quant, and if you also do, this video will probably be interesting. And if you don't, this video will still be interesting. And I can teach you stuff about how to look at data on the blockchain using Etherscan. So basically in this video, what I did is take a bunch of data from Etherscan. So specifically for Quant, the Quant token. And what I did is I took all the holders. You're able to record all the holders on Etherscan from right here. I'm just showing you guys this to teach you if you want to do this yourself, and to show that I'm not making up this data. This is from Etherscan, from the blockchain. And then I'm using this data to investigate whether or not the whales of Quants, the biggest accounts, the biggest addresses, if they're buying recently or if they're selling recently, when they've accumulated, to let us know what the smart money thinks. Then, so like I said, I got all the holders' addresses. So I have all the addresses of the top holders, all the whales. And I also filtered out the team wallets, some of these contracts, and some of these, exchanges, because those aren't real holders or investors. We don't want the exchanges to skew our data. So I excluded as many of those as I can. There may be some small, very small exchanges that have a balance in the data set I will show you, but I try to filter out most of those. And then to see if they're accumulating or if they're selling, what I did is I took the transfers data from Etherscan. And when you do this, you can take transfer data from any point in time. What I did is I took 5,000 transactions in a month, the first 5,000 transactions of each of the months in 2021 to accumulate the data I'm going to show you. So let's get into this data. I joined all this data together and plotted it myself. And I categorized it in two groupings, the top 1,500 accounts. And this grouping was determined by if their current holdings of Quant is over 1,000 tokens. And 1,000 times 300, that would be about 300K in Quant holdings right now. One other side point before we get into this is that some individuals, investors, or whoever invests in Quant, they could have multiple wallets or addresses, which is impossible to determine, but that's just a side note. So this first chart is the Quant token transfer count. So this is the amount of times a transaction occurred from a top 1,500 account to another account. It could be another top 1,500 account between those wallets, or it could be to an exchange. So for example, the red is from a top 1,500 account to another account, and the green is from an exchange or alternate account to a top 1,500 account. So obviously overall in these graphs I'm going to show you, we want the green if we're supporting Quant and investing in Quant. We want the green because we want the whales, the big accounts, to be accumulating. That means big money is coming into Quant. We don't want that big money to leave. Obviously, the price will go down if a lot of big accounts are selling a lot of Quant. So this is interesting because this shows us, this first graph is showing us the top 1,500 accounts. A lot of transactions are happening that are actually leaving the top 1,500 accounts, which at first, that kind of scared me because that's not good. That's not a good sign overall. But it turns out that all of these transactions are very small transactions. You know, maybe the whales are taking 1% profits, 2%, 10% profits, small amount, because this next graph I'm going to show you is the Quant token quantity transferred. So this is not counting the amount of transactions, but this is the amount of tokens that are flowing in or out of the top 1,500 accounts. So overall, this is pretty good. There's not many major big months except for March here. Sorry, I didn't name the months. Month 1 is January, 2 February, 3 March. So a ton flowed into March here. And I investigated And I think the 6th overall walls on Etherscan had a massive amount during this month. Also, another top 30 account bought a massive amount in March, which makes sense because these first couple months of the year is when Quant was accumulating around $40 for a long time. So it makes sense that these whales are buying and not selling. And then as we get into the later months, one interesting observation is the quantity of inflows and outflows is both much lower at the second half of the year. Why is this? I don't exactly know. You can interpret this however you would like, but overall, I think that's mostly a good sign because this means that the biggest accounts are accumulating and they're not selling. If anything, they're buying more. In July, August, September, and October, they were mostly buying more, except in September, which was an overall bad month for crypto. And in general, people sell during that month. So that's interesting. Here's just another, this is the same exact chart, but it just shows you the net gains and losses. So the exact same stuff can be observed from here. And it's good to see that there's only 2 negative months. May is surprisingly just dead even. But yeah, so at the second half of this year, there's been very little volume transferred, but overall, that's fine. That's good for Quant. That means the price might still rocket up soon as we're consolidating in the 280 to 300 range right now. Next, I have 3 more plots, and this is now the top 100 accounts approximately. How I determine the top 100 accounts, I actually just filtered for all accounts that have at least 10,000 quant, that have at least 10,000 quant. So that's a ton. I think, what is that, 3 million? So these are the actual monster accounts of quant. I think the top 1,500 gives us a broader, more general view. And then the top 100 accounts, it's also interesting to follow the biggest of the whales and see what they're doing. And this first one with its transaction count is actually much different than the top 1,500 accounts. Again, across the board, there's mostly a lot of transfers that are leaving the top 100 accounts. But it's really interesting how in August, September, and October, there's a massive discrepancy there. Why is that? I don't know. Maybe I'm assuming, like I said in the last video, in the last chart, that there are a lot of the big whales. These are a lot of the monster accounts, and they're probably selling very small amounts now to lock in some profits. But then again, when I get to the next chart, they're not selling a lot of volume right now, which is good. This means they're slowly taking profits, which totally makes sense right now because Quant just went up this period. Quant just hit 400 in this period. Now it's consolidating, possibly because the whales, the top 100 accounts, are slowly selling, and this is not allowing the price to continue to go up. So once these accounts finish selling, which we can see they're slowly selling, and this is why the price is suppressed and not going up right now. So once they finish this, I think the price will shoot up because they're not selling massive volume amount, but they're just slowly taking profits, which is good. They're not taking the price, and I think they're still holding on to some for the next leg up. So now let's look at the volume. The same thing here, except the top 1,500 showed the same thing in March, where there was a lot of volume coming in, but this is skewed. This was within the top 100 accounts that really skewed this, which we can see here. And what is really interesting too is that going back to the last charts, there's a lot of transactions that are leaving. But if we see this in this month, in October, there's a ton of volume for the top 100 coming in, and there's barely any leaving, which means there's a couple massive buys that must have happened within the current top 100 account to shoot those to where they are right now. And as we can see, if we look back at March, there's massive buys here. And then we know the price went up during this middle of the year, shot up. Now it's down and consolidating. And again, we're seeing a massive discrepancy here in October. So what do you think is going to happen then? A ton of buys are coming into the massive buys are coming into the top 100 counts, just like March, and none is selling. You know, what do you think that means? Obviously, I think that once this price finishes consolidating, these whales are going to hold a ton of the volume, and price is going to shoot up. And yeah, that's all I have for today. I think this is really interesting. So let me know if there's another token you want me to do this analysis on, because I have all the code built out. And yeah, look forward to my next video. It'll be going more into detail on quant technical analysis, the charts, and the fundamental analysis on where the project is going. So hope you liked this video. Leave a comment if you did. See you in the next quant video. And then my next series next week will be going on passive income plays. See you.